You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network. Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
I couldn't be happier. No, I couldn't be happier. Though it is, I admit, the tiniest bit unlike I anticipated. But I couldn't be happier. Simply couldn't be happier.
Hello and welcome to this emergency bonus episode of Musicals with Cheese. I'm Jesse McAnally, joined as always by the one and only Andrew the Wolf DeWolf.
Hello. What's the emergency? Why are we what's so urgent?
Red alert, or should I say green alert, they released the Wicked trailer to go along with the big game. Hashtag the big game. Did you watch the big game? The big game, Taylor Swift at the big game, big game.
You mean the Taylor Swift event with all the Swifties in the audience?
Yes, the Taylor Swift event with all the Swifties in the audience, and also Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, stars of Wicked, because the Super Bowl big game brought to you, Taylor Swift event was brought to you by Wicked. Not
Damn,
even a lying, it was.
Wicked sponsored the Taylor Swift event?
Yeah, Taylor Swift event where her boyfriend yelled at Wilford Brimley.
That's tragic.
Yeah, and
Doesn't
funny
he know
thing
that he has
is,
diabetes?
it's pronounced diabetes. Excuse you, Andrew.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
He should be. Put some respect on that name. But the Wicked trailer. Have you watched it yet?
I've skimmed some of it, but since I was very busy not watching the Taylor Swift event, I did not watch it.
You were having a Taylor Swift event of your own, weren't you?
I was playing Dance Dance Revolution. It was very intense, high intensity event.
He shaked it off.
I shook it off, as the Swifties say.
As the Swifties do say, we must shake it off. Well, you know what? For the sake of it and our audience, how about we just do a watch through of the Wicked trailer here? I've seen it numerous times. I've tweeted about it. I've had opinions on it. But how about you give it a proper beginning to end watch?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's necessary since we are going to cover it.
Yeah, we got to do this. All right, here we go.
The best way to bring folks together
Something has changed within me.
is to give them a real good enemy.
That pointed George Bush politics era is really relevant now.
I am.
Something is
Oh my God, she's green.
Something just takes over me. And when it does, bad things happen.
We kind of get a little bit of the music there.
Once you learn to harness your emotions, the sky's the limit.
Bryn,
It's the Wizard of Oz, people! I'm gonna come!
Don't be afraid.
I liked
I'm
the
not
head,
afraid.
the big head.
It's the wizard who
The
should be
big
afraid of
Wizard
me.
of Oz head. She did the riff! Okay, so that was that.
You know,
About
it's
1
not
minute on the dot.
the worst first look I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're not even calling it a trailer. It's a first look. Something that
Teaser.
shocked
Usually
me.
these are called teasers, I think, right?
Yeah, those don't exist anymore.
Now they're first looks.
Yeah, notice the like to dislike ratio. That is something I literally noticed while watching this right now. I did not
That's not
expect
good.
this.
That's not a good like to dislike ratio. I'm not sure why that would be, to be honest.
Yeah,
Although
I mean,
they did nail it with the 69. We have 69K dislikes, so we nailed it there.
I think it might have to do with the crowd that loves to use the gamer word, not particularly liking the casting decisions, if you know what I mean.
Were those people excited to see Wicked?
No, but they're equally as excited to be racist.
Oh, it's kind of like how none of them would have watched Ghostbusters in 2016, but all of them were upset about it.
Yes, like James Rolfe.
James Rolfe didn't get upset about it. He just didn't cover it.
Yeah, and he made a whole video about how he wasn't going to cover it.
Probably because all the
oh.
fucking asshole sexists were constantly pestering him to cover it.
Gonna cover it, right? Kind of like the people with us in the Wicked movie.
Yeah, except for we
I-
were going to cover it.
Yeah. I do sense shenanigans on first watch here. You notice what is absent from this trailer.
Any music?
Well, there is that. That is
That's
a
what's
fair
always
point.
absent from these.
There is a little bit of like the little like pieces, and you hear a little bit of Defying Gravity, but you wouldn't expect it to be a musical based on the vibe alone. It's also a CGI nightmare hellscape. It looks just like Oz the Great and Powerful with a little less of the Sam Raimi charm.
Can we even detract points from movies for that anymore, though? Like, they all look like that now. That's like just every movie that comes out.
I don't know. Like, Barbie didn't look like that. I was hoping for like a Barbie event kind of vibe, you know?
But Barbie was more grounded. Like they had it take place in places that sort of could be real, whereas this is like a fantasy world. So of course it's gonna be a CGI nightmare, like obviously.
Yes.
All right.
While
So
that
what do
being
you think
said,
is missing?
a part 1.
Oh,
I think they're
that's a
gaslighting
great point.
people into thinking this is a full movie when it is decidedly not a full movie.
Are we sure they didn't go back on that?
Yes, we are sure. We are 100% certain. Also, like, I am bothered by the marketing because they also released the teaser poster where 100% they will not be wearing either of those costumes in the first part of that movie.
Really?
Yeah, because let's switch that tab. We have Elfie in her like classic Wizard of Oz garb, which she wears in Act 2 and only Act 2, really, of Wicked, and Glinda in her ball gown that she wears only for No One Mourns Wicked and Act 2 of Wicked. And if we're to believe the rumors, it's part 1 is only Act 1 of Wicked, which case neither of them will wear these outfits at the same time.
What if we just like all believe hard enough that they've decided to release it all as one movie?
They have not. They've have it on a separate schedule. Now, let's take a look at this. So a good portion of this trailer is focusing on Act 1 and pieces that happen in Act 1. So you could say it is a trailer for the first half of Wicked. However, there are pieces that are 100% in Act 2. Like, this piece of Glinda right here that is obviously for Thank Goodness, or, you know, when she's in there, as well as this frame of the original Wizard of Oz crew, which there's no way that's happening in Act 1.
That is Act 2, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Act 2 is basically nothing but setting up Wizard of Oz. So I sense shenanigans.
There's something going on here. Maybe the hint is in the title here, Wicked First Look. Maybe it's actually called Wicked First Look.
Part 1 is called Wicked First, and Part 2 is Wicked Look.
No, the part 2 is
Or-
called Wicked Second, and then they'll release a trailer and it's going to be called Wicked Second Look.
Or the justification for calling this a first look is they can take pieces of Part 1 and Part 2 and not claim it's a trailer for one movie.
I feel like this is false advertising if they're not disclaiming this, though, because it just says Wicked, and then it says see it on the big
Yes.
screen this Thanksgiving.
Now, we've already done a previous recording where we talked about how stupid it is that they're breaking this up into 2. There's barely enough content in this story for 1.
There's enough content for 1, but
I
there's
disagree.
definitely not enough for 2.
Well,
You could do 1 hour-and-a-half movie and it would be fine.
so I just saw Wicked about 3 weeks ago, the tour, and I don't know how generous I was when we did the episode 1,000 years ago, nearly half a decade ago, but I don't think that show's really that great. I think that the book to that show is borderline terrible.
I think that it's a lot of spectacle and it's one of those just big musical like events that people want to see. I think I said it best when we did the first recording, and every time we talk about Wicked, that the big head is really cool. You know, and people like the
I'm
big
glad
head.
they didn't change the big head.
I do think that they spend way too much time in Wicked just setting up Wizard of Oz, which, you know,
Yes.
yeah.
Also, after Act 1, she gets the broom, becomes a Wicked Witch of the West. Act 2, nothing happens. It is meandering around, setting up pieces for the Wizard of Oz, and then the show ends. There's
Yes.
no development really aside from Elfie and Fiyero getting together, but we kind of already knew that was going to happen. Like nothing really happens aside from the things that have to happen.
I can't disagree with you there. Well,
And it's so lame. It is so I am so bored in Act 2 of Wicked. How are they going to make it a full movie? And that being said,
a full 2
Steven
movies, you mean to say?
well, yeah, but I'm talking about Act 2. How are you going to make Act 2 a full movie? Maybe they'll expand upon it. Maybe they'll add more Wizard of Oz elements, considering we did just see, like, you know, the main gang of the Wizard of Oz being shown here.
Guarantee that's what they're going to do. We're going to get a lot more, like, almost the second movie might be like remaking Wizard of Oz while you also do the second half of Wicked, in a way, you know? I wouldn't even be surprised if they try to include songs from Wizard of Oz in Act 2.
Well, they can't, owned by a different company.
Maybe they can
And-
get permission, maybe.
Well, the judging of getting permission there was interesting, and I think that has been all but confirmed when we saw Dorothy's slippers. Did you notice it?
Not the right color.
They are silver slippers. We're going with the book logic.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not aping off the MGM movie entirely. However, the Tin Man and the Scarecrow are basically the MGM movie, but the lion is quadrupedal, which is, you know, instead of just a gay man in a big old teddy bear suit.
Which is essentially blasphemous. You shouldn't be allowed to do this. That's Aslan. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. My whole thought on this thing is like this teaser, while not being amazing, isn't really that bad to me. But
it looks pretty bad to me.
I think the issue that I'm seeing is more so in that we know it's going to be 2 movies, and this teaser is
hiding it.
clearly from both movies. They're kind of hiding it for one, which is a little bit shady, but also like there's nothing in this teaser that tells me that they have figured out how to make Act 1 into a full movie, you know?
Or Act 2 in its own full movie.
Because like even here, like this is supposedly a teaser to whatever's coming out in Thanksgiving, which I assume is only Act 1. And they
Yes.
still, in the teaser, they had to include stuff from Act 2.
When you're right, you're right. And the problem they always said is we didn't figure out a way to like top define gravity. And how did the stage show do it? People still came back from Act 1, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
Now let's talk general audiences. Andrew, I know that I've ruined you and you've got brain rot for doing this podcast for so long.
Obviously.
But just normal people are going to say, hey, I want to see Wicked. And then they only get half a movie. I don't think
God.
the cliffhanger's interesting enough where I'm like, oh, I gotta see the second one.
I really think every discussion of fucking Wicked is always going to come back to this. Why did they split it up? There was no reason to split it up. It's so dumb. And again, I got my fingers crossed. Maybe they changed their mind. maybe it's just one movie. It says Wicked. See it on the big screen. No, there's no hint that it's part 1. You know, maybe they changed their mind and just didn't tell anybody.
According to Wikipedia, the first Wicked is releasing November 27th, 2024, and the sequel, Wicked Part 2, will release November 26th, 2025.
Oh my God, please. Like, okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that they have changed their mind, but God, I really wish that they did.
Yes, I do too. Do you know what production company made this film?
Oh God, it was probably in the teaser, so I should know, but no, I
It's
don't.
literally right there in the image right there.
Where?
At the YouTube page, sir.
Oh, Universal?
Yes. Do you know what other film musicals they have released in the last few years?
They didn't do Cats, so
Yes, they did.
they did Cat. Why did I think Cats was Warner Brothers?
Because Warner Brothers is making its own kind of mistakes lately. But that's not what
Okay.
we're talking about. We're not that kind of podcast.
So Universal put out Cats, and now they're splitting up Wicked into
What else did they put out?
um.
Who also shares the executive producer credit as this one?
Oh, good Lord! Is there another terrible musical that I'm forgetting?
Yep. We covered it.
Is it Les Mis?
No, well, yes, it is, but
Wait,
that
there's
is another one.
Wait, there's another one.
Yes, there
Oh
is.
no, is it Dear Evan Hansen?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Mark
fuck
Blatt.
me. Okay, yeah. There's very little hype for this now. I'm sorry, Jess. You've convinced me. This is probably not going to be very good. I'm sorry,
I-
everyone. I wanted to be positive.
I hate to say. I mean, let's talk about John M. Chu, who directed it. He directed a film you and I both kind of liked at the time, but I think probably aged badly. In the Heights.
I think In the Heights, maybe if we go back, it would be terrible, but I feel like it was fine. Like it was
I've
not
tried
like
to watch it. The luster has worn off a little bit, but not like horrendous.
it's still admittedly better than like this stuff.
Yes.
Like you have to still say that, right?
Yes. So maybe I'm just being a Debbie Downer, as people like to say I am, because I'm just, I'm me, I guess.
I want to go into Wicked and try to like it, but like one, I hate the part 1, part 2 thing. I would hate that regardless of what it was. Like even if they split something up, like if it looked like really good and they split up like Les Mis or something, like I still would be like, why? Like there's no reason to do that, Like there's just I don't like the concept of taking one story and making it two just arbitrarily. I'm not a fan of that at all. But I still want to go in and just try to like it. But there's a lot working against it right now.
Is there anything that you were like really impressed by at all? Like, I would be much more positive about this if it were just one movie. That's the sad part. If it was just one movie, I'd be like, yeah, I'm optimistic, but it's 2 movies.
I think, I mean, visually it doesn't look amazing, but I don't think it's not like horrible. Like it looks comparable to like your average like superhero movie, I feel.
I mean, that's the problem. What has been a good movie musical? Like, nothing has looked as good as West Side Story.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Nothing.
West Side Story. Like West Side Story was great.
And then you've got Tick
and-
Tick Boom, who has the same cinematographer, but this still looks immeasurably worse.
Hey, The Color Purple was good.
Color Purple was good, and I think that was also Universal, so...
So we've seen some.
No, that's a lie.
Decent.
That's a lie. The Color Purple was WB.
Warner Brothers did do a musical.
Yes, and you know what? Warner Brothers also did Barbie, and they did In the Heights.
Maybe Warner Brothers is actually their superhero team is just flubbing, but they're got some stuff up their sleeve.
I am about to say, don't you start giving them too much credit, because they're just gonna throw away another fucking movie, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I hear that this new Roadrunner movie that they're making is going to be really good. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I hear that, like, the writer of May December wrote it, Oscar-nominated writer, James Gunn, co-wrote the story.
He's an executive at Warner Brothers, so I
Yes,
mean,
he
clearly
is.
that movie is going to get a big release.
It's not great to be a media consumer in the current age of the 2020s.
Everything good gets thrown away, and
I won't
all
even
the
say
bad
good.
shit still comes out.
I mean, yeah, they thought The Flash was too important to not get a theatrical release. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but oh god, no, it wasn't. It did not deserve to be released at all.
I don't think I've watched any DC superhero movie besides Shazam. That's the only one I've seen.
The Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad is good. That is the only other one I'd recommend.
Okay, so if I watch that one, then I have seen the 2 ones that are okay.
Yes, that is it. I actually kind of like Shazam too, but I'm in a minority there, so. But while we're talking about Wicked, there is another topic I think it's important that we cover that is in the same vein. Do you know where I'm going with this?
It's not Taylor Swift related, is it?
No, not that I know of, at least.
I don't think I know where you're going with it. Let's find out though.
In the opposite direction of taking something that does not need to be 2 films and making it into 2 films, taking something that's a full series and making it into a movie, Rushed.
Okay.
How about we take a look at Disney's Moana 2?
Oh. This got a trailer already?
Yes,
oh, it's coming out
did.
that soon?
It's coming out the same day as Wicked.
There is nothing here.
It was supposed to be a Disney Plus series that Bob Iger decided, you know what, let's make it into a movie. and announcing it and less than a year away from its release, where Wicked was announced 700 years ago and is finally maybe getting released this November, and now they're going head-to-head. The half-assed bullshit movie made just because they needed to hit a certain quota of money this year, and the other one where they made it 2 films because they need to make a certain quota this year.
What do we do? You know, like as a consumer, like what do you do about the troubling trends that is mainstream Hollywood movies? Other than just not watch them. I know, like I'm not gonna be the guy that's like all movies are shit now. Obviously, there's a ton of indie films that I've never heard of that are probably amazing, and if I just seek them out, I'd probably enjoy them a lot. But I'm not that
You know what
fucking
movie I saw recently that was like
dedicated.
insanely original and I enjoyed a lot and looked beautiful and like had something, and yeah, it was rough around the edges, but I thought was great. Lisa Frankenstein. It's about a girl that accidentally resurrects a corpse and then they fall in love and fuck. Great movie. Really wild, really knows what it is tone-wise. A rip-roaring good time.
So is the answer like everyone has to seek out indie movies now because mainstream Hollywood is just corrupted beyond belief and just will never fucking release anything good ever again?
Well, you say that, but it's not a truly indie movie. That's the thing. Indie movies don't fucking exist anymore.
True.
Even the ones that we call quote unquote indie are released and made by studios.
It's just not as major of releases, so
Yes,
it's
that's
hard to
the
even
thing.
qualify them. It's like in gaming, there's like AAA games and then AA games. So these would be like AA movies.
Yes. Like, technically, like what I'm doing with Domino, that is independent filmmaking. I'm financing it myself. I don't have a studio behind me. What Red Letter Media did with like Space Cop, what, like it or not, Doug Walker did, those are truly independent films.
Yes, and that type of shit doesn't happen that often, or at least not in a way where you're going to hear
And it's
about it.
rarely good, is the other thing, because you don't have as much time, you don't have as much resources, and you can't, unless you're someone like Chris Stuckman, who has like infinite resources because of his audience, that's where you might get something interesting. Or you might just have a really hungry artist. I really like Jeremy Gardner and Christian Stella's work. But back to Moana 2. What do you think the most marketable and effective part of Moana, the first one, was?
Marketable and effective I think the most marketable part is probably Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Maui.
Well, he's coming back. That's been confirmed, and so is the young person that is playing Moana. They're coming back as well.
The most
As seen in the Mean
effective
Girls
part,
movie.
I think the most effective part is the storytelling, and that they actually gave a shit about like
Yes, which
the
obviously
culture
that won't
that they're
happen
talking
here.
about.
Because, they brought in someone who might know a little bit about, Pacific Islander culture, like Lin-Manuel Miranda, to do the score, who is not returning to do the music and songs for Moana 2. 2 guesses as to who they got, and believe me, it won't make you cringe. Yeah, it will.
Is it the people that did Frozen?
No, but you're very close. One more guess.
Is it the people that did Frozen 2?
I mean, the people that also did Frozen.
That's my only guess. Who did it?
When I say Barlow and Bear, what does that mean to you?
Oh
It should
God!
mean at least one thing.
I remember in my head these names, but is this the Tom and Jerry Wizard of Oz people? I don't even remember.
No. It is the Bridgerton, the TikTok musical
Oh, yes, that's who it was. Okay, I knew it in my head.
ladies. The
but I
ones
was
that got
like,
sued by Netflix for doing what they were doing and then had to not ever sing those songs again.
oh God, that kind of sucks because I remember their music being fine but relatively bland.
Which I think Moana 2 will probably be something of, like, 2 white British-ish girls to write this really kind of, Islander vibe musical.
Yeah.
And it's very clearly a throwback to the Disney animated sequels where they just took 3 episodes of a TV show that they were going to make and then they didn't make and then made it into a movie, you know, like the Atlantis movie sequel or the Tarzan and Jane movie or the Cinderella 2 movie, where it's just 3 episodes of a TV show shoved together and they call it a movie. That's what we're getting, but it's only going to get put in theaters now.
Disney is, oh man, I don't even know what's going on with, like, I think it was Shea Frolis who said, like, who the fuck made Encanto? Like, who did that? Because, like, it wasn't Disney, right?
No, Encanto was that strange golden strand in the hay.
Yeah, it's like, because they have just been putting out trash. It is crazy.
It is not the best situation, you know? It's a pretty dull world for creativity altogether.
Yeah.
So, what are you hoping? Because you and I are obviously going to have to see both of these when these fucking monstrosities hit theaters on November 27th.
My hope is that Moana 2 is not going to
Better
ruin
than
the
Wish.
first one for me. And yes, it's better than Wish. That would be nice. And honestly, I still think that there is a small chance that Wicked will be good. So I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping that we got like the 10% chance that they somehow figured out what to do to make this work and they made it happen.
Well, I am 60-40 chance. Maybe they're making some really smart story decisions, but I'm dubious and doubtful. I'm not impressed by what I'm seeing so far.
I think that the problem is that they showed a serviceable teaser, but they needed to sell us on the idea of like this is going to be 2 movies, and they hit it. They didn't even touch on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The only time this has worked, and I hate giving this any credit, is the last Harry Potter movie, and it's because they very openly marketed it like, hey, in November you're getting part 1, in July you're getting part 2. Here's the trailer for both of those experiences before we start marketing each one individually. But that was only 9 months in between. This is like a full year, 12 months, a complete rotation around the Earth. I don't think I got my science right there.
I just don't think I honestly, I don't even like that they did that with Harry Potter, and I find those last Harry Potter movies to be fucking extremely boring.
I'm talking marketability alone.
Yeah, the way they marketed it was better, but like again, I really just hate the splitting, and we've talked to death about this. We did a whole video about it where I'm pretty sure I said over and over again, I hate splitting stories into 2 stories. I hate it so fucking much.
But what do you think about that combining stories into one story? Both of them.
Honestly, combining stories into one story, I can see that being like, okay, well, there's not enough material here, so we add more. Taking it and like spreading it thin is worse, in my opinion. Like
That's
making a
just fair
story
enough.
more dense, I think is more likely to work than making a story less dense.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be here to talk about both of these eventually. Join us for another year, and we'll see what's going on, guys. What did you think of the Wicked movie? Let us know in our Spotify comments. Are you excited? Do you think it looks good, or do you think it looks like diarrhea, cowabunga piece of dog shit?
Thanks, James Rolfe.
It looks like a shitload of fuck. Who did this? A fucking poopy big stinky boy? I wanna poop on the game.
Looks like a shitload of fuck out of a diarrhea donkey bum hole. All right, it's not 2005 anymore. We can't do this.
You know what? If it was 2005, the Wicked movie would probably be better. If they had done it in 2005, I think a lot more people would have had interest, and it would have been a lot more of a novelty.
Welcome
We'll
to
see
20 years later.
Yeah. 20 years later, the luster's worn off a bit.
Oh, man. Well,
all right, we'll see you next time. And
let us know what you thought.
Yeah. Enjoy this week's episode. It's going to be a good one. Bye, kids. I love you. Get some sleep.
And who wouldn't be happier? So I couldn't be happier, because happy is what happens when when all